So,
but it's gonna be bigger than that this time.
Right.
This time,
hold on. When you say this time, what do you mean by that?
This a whole nother ride. This a whole nother ride.
Because you know the alphabet boys be watching. What do you mean this time?
No. I don't care. They don't even want to put me in prison no more.
Right. Okay.
I was in there teaching them youngsters.
Right.
They don't want that. They don't want you teaching them youngsters. Like, man, get him out of there. What's up, y'all? This is Freeway Rick Ross, and you watching thisis50.com. This is my book. It's my T-shirt. Check me out.
Yo, what's good? It's DJ Thorough, a.k.a. Thorozano. Bridge to the streets, but you already know that. Right now, you're watching the hottest in the streets right here on thisis50.com. Speaking of the streets, speaking of legendary figures, I got a legend in the building, Mr. Freeway Ricky Ross.
What's up? What's up?
Thank you for coming through, man. It's an honor.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
All right. I see you here today. You have your new book out, The Untold Autobiography. Yes. Now, in this book, what are you sharing that people may not know?
Well, something like what you was just talking about, hustling, man.
Right.
You know, how to get your money. You know, a lot of people out here and they're just running around. You know, they don't really understand that there's principles to having money.
Right.
You know, they just want to be on the radio, they want to be in the movies, but they're not getting no money. And for me, it ain't cool to be doing stuff and you ain't getting no money.
Right.
You know, I'm like, you might well be in jail if you out here and you ain't getting no money. Right. You know, because money is freedom.
Right.
You know, without money, you really don't have no freedom. You know, you can't turn the lights on, you can't run the water, you know, you can't get on the train, you can't catch the bus. I mean, you know, you like stuck when you don't have no money. Right. So when I was in jail, I was like, wow, what if your people knew, man, what you know about money? Right. What if they knew how you can go to the top of anything and it don't mean nothing to you, you just do it. Right. What if they could do it? Right. And the people who you teach can do the same thing. Right. So why don't you put it in a book, you know, and show them how it's done step by step. So that's how this book came about. Okay, I want to go back to the beginning because I found out some very interesting information about you. You used to be a tennis star. Yeah. You used to play tennis. Like a lot of people don't know that. Like, and that's the era of, if I'm not mistaken, like Arthur Ashe, Be On Board, Jimmy Connors. Chris, those are the guys that I looked up to. Those are the guys you looked up to. So how does somebody from the inner city of Southern California get involved in tennis? Like, because that's not a cultural thing there. It was crazy how it happened. This guy one day, we used to use the tennis courts to play roller derby on. Okay. You know, everybody in the neighborhood would put their skates on, and we had about 6 tennis courts over there, but nobody played on them. But the surface was nice and smooth, you know, great for skating and skateboarding. And one day we was there and we was doing our normal, you know, knocking people into the net and tackling people and, you know, just the stuff that kids do, you know. And this old guy came up, and, you know, he was black as tar, and he had these baskets full of tennis balls, and he had all these rackets, and he was like, I bet can't none of y'all hit the ball into that box. Right. He said, whoever can do it, I'll give him a quarter. Now, what year was this? Because a quarter must have been a lot of money then. This is like 73. 73, wow, okay. Yeah. I guess a quarter went a long way then. A quarter went a long ways back then. I mean, a gallon of gas back then was probably like a quarter. Wow. And we all kicked our skates off, you know. Right. We started, you know, just trying to hit the ball in the box and, you know, try to earn the quarter. And after that, it turned into a tennis ball fight where we found out we could take the balls and hit the balls off the racket and hit them at each other. And then we put our skates back on. So now we playing tennis ball, skate, hit, you know. And a couple of my partners stuck with it. Okay. You know, they kept going back to see this guy every day. And then they started coming home with Adidas sweatsuits and new tennis rackets and free tennis shoes, and I was like, how y'all do that? Man, one day we at his house and there's a box that's coming in the mail, you know, and I was like, man, I'm finna start playing tennis too. Right. So that's how I got started. That's how you got started. Yeah. Now you were to the point where you were going to college for it, going to get a scholarship, right? I eventually went to a junior college. Right. LA Trade Tech. Right. And I played there. Okay. I had a scholarship to major universities. My tennis skills was good enough to play at a major university, but my grades weren't. Your grades weren't, right. Now I want to speak on that because if I'm not mistaken, there was a point where you couldn't read, you literally couldn't read. Up until I was 28, 29. 28, 29. Okay, now I'm trying to fathom that. So explain to me, being a kid,
you know, because every kid, it's by law, you have to go to school. Like you go to kindergarten, you go to preschool, you first, second, third. How did you not learn any fundamentals of reading at that
Well, that's not unusual.
Okay.
For people not to be able to read. 65% of the men in prison right now can't read.
Can't read, okay.
And then probably another 10 or 15% can't comprehend what they read.
Okay.
So even though it seems unusual, it's really not.
It's really not, okay.
So many people, they hide their like or ability to be able to read and comprehend what they read. So
Right.
so it's fairly common.
How did you duck and dodge the fact that you couldn't read and nobody noticed and said, hey, let me help this kid out? Like,
Well, I would just go to the back of the room and put my head on the table, you know, and
Right,
don't bother
okay.
the teacher, and the teacher don't bother me, you know, and
Oh, man.
and she teach the rest of the class,
Right.
or pretend to teach the rest of the class. I don't really know,
Okay.
you know, and they just let me go. And then it was time to get a report card. My tennis coach would come in and say, you know what, hey, we need Rick on the team. Do him a favor.
Right.
Let him stay eligible for tennis. That's all he got.
Right. Yeah, okay, I get it. That happens. That still happens to this day. A lot of sports athletes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Not just in sports. I mean, our kids,
right.
the streets are loaded with our kids who can't read and write.
Right.
I mean, you know, and nobody probably really do the statistics, but I'm sure that it's more out there than it probably was then. You know.
Right. So at what point did the reading, not being able to read, catch up to you to the point where no one could step in and say, okay, well, he can't go to the next level because he can't read? Like, where did that?
Well, when it
end
was
for you?
time to go to a university. You know,
Okay.
when it was time to
for the tennis.
to go to the college.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to go to a major university because my tennis skills was good enough to play on a major level, but my ability to read and write wasn't. My
Okay.
academic level wasn't probably was a third grade academic level.
Okay, so at that point, what did you do?
I found myself back in my old neighborhood where I grew up at.
Where are you from exactly?
I'm from South Central
South
Los
Central.
Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Near
So-
Florence and Normandy area.
Not far from there. That's
Okay.
where the riot started.
Yeah. I know. Right. Okay.
That's a famous area.
Yeah.
I'm
I got cousins out there. Yeah.
I'm
I
about
know.
2 miles from there.
2 miles from
You
there.
know, that's my neighborhood where
Okay.
the riot actually broke out. You know, I knew the guys who started the riot, even though I was in prison when the riots happened. My business was right down the street that I owned.
Right.
So I'm very familiar with that area.
Yeah, that's a crazy area. Well, it was back then, but yeah. Okay,
It
so
still can be crazy.
yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. So you're back in South Central,
I'm back over in that area.
right? I'm assuming you're feeling discouraged, like, you know.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was gonna do.
Okay.
You know, my life, even though I was going to a junior college, I wasn't happy.
Okay.
You know, going to a junior college, I felt that a junior college was beneath me.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I felt that the junior college was beneath me.
Right.
I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to play on the team, really. You know.
Right.
But I did. I did play, and I would go to practice sometimes. But I kind of felt that tennis was starting to fade away.
Right.
I found myself having 1 foot into tennis and 1 foot into the streets.
In the street, right.
You know, I started hanging out with my younger brothers who never played tennis, and they stayed in the neighborhood all the time. I started hanging out with, you know, guys I went to elementary and junior high school with. Next, I started low riding. I didn't know how those guys were fixing those cars up. You know,
Right.
I see these guys with these pretty cars,
Right.
and I don't know how they're fixing them. So I found out that they were stealing cars to fix their cars.
Right.
You know, they were running chop shops and so forth. So I got involved with them. I started doing the chop shop business. I started off as a driver. The guys that I was working with got arrested, and I took over their business.
Right.
I knew all the body shops they used to go sell the parts to. So then I brought my crew in, my younger brothers and all my friends, and we started our own chop shop. Really was my chop shop, but they worked for me. When I was 18, I got arrested for my chop shop.
Okay.
On a fluke. Some guys had snatched a purse around the corner from a lady and ran through my building. I had my own building.
At
and everything.
18?
At 18, I had my
Wow.
own building. I had like 7 cars that I was inside cutting up when the police raided me. I got lucky because they didn't have a search warrant to search my place. It was crazy how we got busted, but we were inside cutting up the cars, and then we hit a helicopter, and we look out the window, and the police got the whole area surrounded. And you know, I ain't never been involved in no crime, so I'm like, oh, they got us.
You just gave up like it got me. That was
Well,
it.
I didn't just give up. I took off running.
Okay.
I was gonna run through the barricade.
Right.
So the cops saw me running and they started chasing me. And that's all. It's in the book too.
It's in the book. Right.
And they started chasing me and they was like, they finally caught me and they take me over to the lady and the lady like, nah, that ain't him. And they was like, this ain't him. You sure this ain't him? This gotta be him. This dude was running too hard. Hey, I done jumped fences. Man, I ran slap out of gas. I just like ran so hard that I just passed out. You know,
wow.
I couldn't even run anymore.
Right.
And then the cop was like, I mean, this gotta be the guy.
Right.
And when the lady convinced him that it wasn't me, they said, well, he did something.
He did something. He's running too hard.
So they started backtracking and then they got to my building and so they took my keys and opened the door and I never gave permission.
Yeah, I was about to say, you can't do that.
So I won the case on illegal search and seizure. But while I caught that case is when I started selling drugs.
Right.
I was fighting that case and I'm scared. I got 7 cases of GTA. Each one carries 3 years in prison, so that's 21 years they talking about giving me. And then during that time, one of my friends introduced me to cocaine.
Right, I was gonna ask you that. You went from playing the tennis, you can't play anymore, go to chop shop, get busted for that. Who, well not even giving names, but how did you get involved with cocaine? Like,
one of my homies introduced me. He in the book, he's dead.
Okay.
He's dead now, you know, Michael. Mike called me and he was like, man, I got the newest thing. I got a great idea for you.
Right.
You're gonna love it. And when I went over to his house, you know, he laid out some lines of cocaine on the table, and I snorted cocaine for my first time.
Now, how old are you how old are you at this point?
19.
You're 19, okay.
Maybe getting ready to turn 20.
Okay. And what year is this?
79.
79, okay.
Just gonna be 80.
Okay.
And after we finished talking and everything, he gave me a $50 rock to go out and see what I could do with it.
Right. Now people credit you for the introduction of crack to the U.S. Like, what I always wanted to know, who sat there, what chemist or what person said, you know what, I'm gonna take this powder and I'm gonna make this hard. Who invented that?
I don't know who invented it. Some people say I invented it. What I think I probably did was I probably promoted it at that time, probably better than anybody had did it at that time.
Okay.
You know, I started introducing the younger guys to the business because I still had my crew.
Right. Okay.
You know, my crew didn't even. When I went to jail for the 7 counts of GTA, none of my crew went to jail. Okay. Even the one who had locked the door and was in the trailer sleeping, it wasn't his building, so they dropped all charges on him immediately. Okay. So all the charges was just against me. So I still had my crew. Right. That was scot-free. So what I did is after I learned how to do the cocaine and how to sell it, I started teaching them how to do it. Right. Okay. So from that point, from powder to rock form, your business started expanding, correct? It was expanding for powder. From powder, right. I mean, the rock helped. It took it to another level once rock really got popular. But, you know, I was doing good when it was powder. When it was powder. So what made you make the transition from, it had to be something you saw to say, you know what? Well, even when I was selling more rock than powder, I still had powder too. Okay. I never stopped selling powder totally. Right. But it got to a point to where like people would come by your house and they would be like, it'd be 6 in the morning, they would come by going to work and they'd be like, damn, I gotta mark it up. Right. You know, I gotta find all the tools, I gotta get the bottles, I gotta get baking soda, I gotta get everything to cook it. Right. So what we did is we said, why not have it Ready Rock? And that's what we started calling it, Ready Rock. Right. Know? When they would come by, we said, we already got it rock, you know, and it turned into Ready Rock and it speeded up the process so they could smoke it immediately. They didn't have to go and find a place to cook it. Right. They could just go right there. That's definitely a West Coast term because I'm sure you know this guy, Mixmaster Spade. It's my man. Yeah, he used to say Ready Rock all the time in the lyrics. That's my man, Master Spade. And Tiny T. Tiny T too. Yeah, Tiny T, yeah. Master Spade, Old Gray Hair Granny. Oh, Gray Hair Granny, yeah. Just Say No song, yeah. Well, you know, Spade is the one who really introduced hip hop to LA. Right. You know, Dr. Dre learned how to play on Spade's drum machine and King T. Right. So, Spade, my man. Spade, you know, he rapped about the business. Yeah, he did. I would say he was one of the first to talk what we call about cocaine. About cocaine. He was talking that in songs. That was like him and Tiny T. Him and Tiny T with the Just Say No song. That was way back then. He was like, and he was vividly showing
bass heads and all that. Well, y'all call them cluckers or whatever they called them out there.
Well, back then they was bass heads.
Okay, but who made the term cluckhead? Cluckers or
I don't know who started that. We used bass heads.
Okay, because I used to hear Eazy-E and them say cluckers or see a clucker. You know.
Well, Eazy and them was later. They was later in the game. Much after Spade and them had already been doing it. Spade, Ice-T, you know, had already been doing it, and there was a few other guys who didn't reach that stardom that also was using the terms.
Now, I also heard that you financed Anita Baker's first album.
I did.
Now, how did that happen?
Well, tennis is the reason that I got involved with that.
Okay.
Otis Smith, who was the owner of Beverly Glen Music, and that Anita Baker project probably is the reason that I wasn't the king of hip hop.
Okay.
Because I was already doing hip hop.
Okay. Meaning when you say doing hip hop, you were rapping, producing, what were you doing?
Well, you know, just messing with the business.
Okay.
Turntables, doing parties.
Right.
You know, thinking about producing DJ Pooh.
What was your DJ name?
I wasn't no DJ.
Oh, you were
I was just the man behind the scenes.
The man behind the scenes. Okay.
I was actively in hip hop.
Okay.
You know, when Otis, who used to pay me to play tennis with his son when I was in high school, when I was like 16, never knew what he did.
Right.
You know, picked me up in a convertible Rolls Royce from
back then.
From my high school. Yeah, back then. So one day, you know, I'm doing real good for myself now. I'm about 22. I'm chilling out. So I go to a tennis match in LA. In Santa Monica. When I get to the tournament, I look up and then I see little Otis playing. Right. So, you know, and for me, that was like, oh, I helped him get here.
Right.
You know, and I'm sitting there and then all of a sudden they start arguing. Otis and the kid from, we was from a kid from Stanford. And they start arguing and I see it's gonna be a fight. And then Big Otis steps in because he don't want his kid to get into no fight because he know his kid gonna get kicked off the team. Right. You know, white against a black. So anyway, it's my guy. They talking about beating up. Right. So I got on the phone. I hit my dudes. I hit the cars and the motorcycles screeching to stops. And just about time they got there, the match was over, and I see my guys jumping the fence. They don't even pay to get in. They just jump the fence because these South Central dudes, they didn't care about nothing, right? So they jump in the fence, and just about time they hit the fence, the white guy hit Otis in the eye. Bam! My guys looking at me like, cause they already know like, white boy just hit the brother, you know? Right. So I just nodded my head and I take care of that. So my dudes hit the tennis court with motorcycle helmets, bam! And I see blood just like splatter everywhere. Man, they beating these dudes so bad, I run down there and break it up. Otis don't know who saved him. So tennis coach, my old tennis coach, high school tennis coach comes up. And then they talking, and then he tells Otis, man, Rick probably the one to save your ass. And Otis looked at me, he's like, oh man, come on, let's go out for dinner. Let me take you out for dinner. I appreciate what you did for me. Right. Because he didn't remember me because I grew up. You know, when last time he seen me, I was 16 with no hair on my face. Now I got a full beard, you know, I'm a grown man now. So we go out for dinner, and then he started talking to me about, he was in the music business. Mm-hmm. And he tells me about this girl from Detroit that he needs to send for her and bring her out, and that she's gonna sell so many records, and I don't know nothing about the record business, you know, had never thought about the record business. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got involved with Anita Baker.
Anita Baker, right.
I loaned in the money to put the record out.
Right.
At the same time though, I was also talking to DJ Pooh about putting his record out and getting involved with the LA hip hop scene. I was already doing some stuff with some guys from Chicago. Pooh takes me by a house, and in this house, it's like guys laying all over the floor, and they got wires going everywhere. And when I go meet Dre, when I get out of jail, Dre said he was in that house. So I was like, wow, you was that close. And I really was gonna do Pooh's album. I was really gonna give Pooh the money. Pooh quoted me a price that was a little high, and I just gave Otis $600,000 to do Anita Baker's album.
What year was this?
Probably like 82.
Yeah, 82.
I had the distribution network already set up because when Otis got the 600 from me, he just didn't get the 600 from me right off because I didn't just give it to him. You know, I mean, he was my man. Right. But he also took me to meet Barry Gordy, Dick Griffey from Solar Records. Right. And they all talked me against hip hop. They was like, oh, hip hop is a fad. Hip hop ain't gonna be around. It's gonna be like disco. If you do R&B, you good. Right. And that's why I went with the R&B, because those guys were more seasoned You know, they had plaques already on gold records. Right. So he had iron.
Right.
So he looked more credible to me than a DJ Pooh.
Than DJ Pooh.
You know what I'm saying? Who's sleeping in an apartment. They got offices and high rises, 20 floors up.
Right.
So me not knowing nothing about it, I feel more secure going with the older guys.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, I'm thinking about that number you just told me, do you think you was taken advantage of? Because 600,000 in 82 is an excessive a lot of money to put an album. I don't think that was excessive a lot. I mean, I didn't get nothing out of it. Right.
I wind up losing all the way around because I wind up going to prison.
Okay.
Anita jumped the label. I also hired the lawyer to fight her jumping the label. So yeah, it was. But I didn't really get into the business myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just gave him what he told me he needed, and he probably was financing his lifestyle off of my money.
Off your money. All right. Speaking of money, like me, I don't like to get into names unless you speak on that. But I don't need names. But as far as your connection, like how were you getting your stuff, on the street? Like where was you getting your contacts, your connects?
Oh well, my connection wound up being my informant.
Okay.
He wound up being the one who set me up and had me put in prison. Danilo Blandon, who was
Panama.
No, from Nicaragua.
Nicaragua, okay. All
who
right.
also had ties to our government, to the
Okay.
CIA. He was an operative from Nicaragua, and as you know, Nicaragua was a pet peeve of Ronald Reagan, George Bush, and Oliver North,
Right.
Where they were fighting a war against the Sandinistas, trying to keep Russia off of this hemisphere.
Right.
That's how I was getting my drugs. They were sending supplies over to Nicaragua, and on those same planes, they were bringing drugs back into the country.
Did you ever have any dealings with Griselda or Pablo?
I never dealt directly with Zelda, but he did.
Okay.
Danilo had dealt with her a few times. They were friends.
Right.
And I think he knew Pablo as well. I never met Pablo. In what they call the discovery is what they give you on your informant. Mm-hmm. They give you like his background, and in the background, he knew the Ochoa family. I believe it was Pablo Escobar, and he may have had somebody in the Medellin too. He was plugged. I mean, they had become the people who could get your drugs into the country.
Right.
I mean, even with the Barry Seal movie,
Yeah,
the Barry Seal movie where they was in Nicaragua loading up the plane.
Right.
So that's all part of the same pipeline.
Did you actually know Barry Seal or know of him?
I didn't know. I didn't know of Barry Seal.
You didn't know of him.
I'm just a dude from South Central, man.
I mean, you're a dude from South Central, but
yeah,
you was killing the street.
But I didn't really get into the politics.
Right.
And they had even offered me to go overseas before, but I'm like, I don't need to go overseas. I do good right here.
Right.
Why would I want to go and get stuff from overseas and take a chance of taking my money out? I said, just keep doing it the way we're doing it. I'm happy with this.
Right. All right. Let's switch gears for a minute. They say imitation is the best form of flattery, right? So we had the no secret. There was a rapper, Rick Ross. He used your name.
No doubt.
Usually when someone takes someone's name, like I said, they look at it as a compliment. Maybe the guy looked up to you.
Absolutely. No question about
right.
it. That's the only way somebody would take it.
Exactly. So how did that go from, which would normally be like, oh, this guy using my name. Okay, he looked up to me, to I don't want you using my name to y'all get into a legal situation. How did that get to that point?
Well, usually when somebody uses your name, it's like a little homie.
Right.
Somebody who looks up to you, who admires you. And I didn't feel that he carried it the way that it should have been carried.
Okay.
He didn't come and ask me, could he use my name? And he didn't look out. It wasn't hard to find me.
Right.
You could have got online and went to gov.com and they would have gave you all my information.
Right.
He didn't bother to do that. And then when I got in touch with him to talk to him about using my name so that we could come to some type of agreement, because anytime you use somebody's intellectual property, it's supposed to be an agreement. We talked about him coming to the prison to see me because I couldn't talk on the telephone because the prison didn't like me doing business on the telephone.
Right.
They would take my telephone. So I talked to him about coming down to sit in the visiting room where we could talk business, and he agreed that he was going to do that, and he changed his number.
And he changed his number.
Yeah.
Right. So from there, it just went all bad.
Yeah, it was all bad. I mean, it wasn't all bad because I wasn't really tripping. I'm like, dude, you don't even know what I could do for your career.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I could take you to a whole nother level. Yeah, Universal is pumping you up, and but I know stuff that they don't even know about the streets. I know the streets. I know the hood. I know how dudes in the hood think. So I was really trying to work with him on that level, but he basically, just shut me out. So when I got out, this attorney approached me and was like, "Man, Universal owe you a lot of money," and I was like, "Go get it."
And that's what happened with that.
That's how the law.
So where you all at this point? You're cool.
We ain't nowhere.
You're nowhere. It's still
It ain't nothing. I mean, it just ain't nothing.
Okay.
I ain't mad at him. We ain't friends. He said some disrespectful stuff.
Okay.
About me. Places. One place he went and called me an informant.
And why would he say that?
Well, I had some cops.
Okay.
On my case.
Okay.
They didn't work for me. They were trying to track me down
Mm-hmm.
and arrest me and put me in prison. Well, anyway, these cops couldn't catch me. So what they did is they started planting drugs.
Okay.
And finally, when they did catch up with me, they had already planted the drugs in certain places and fabricated search warrants and all that other stuff. And when I went to court, I told them, "Oh, that's a lie." And I had the evidence to prove that what they were saying wasn't true.
Right.
Well, I wind up getting them indicted for fabricating evidence.
Right.
And he said that, for me to tell on some cops or for me to stand up in court and testify in my behalf is snitching.
Right. And that's where that's his definition of snitching. Telling on cops
Right.
is trying to set you up.
And 150 guys got out of prison because once these cops was proved uncredible and that evidence that they had been using was fabricated evidence, then I think 150 people got out of prison.
Speaking of getting out of prison, real quick, this is why I think this is fascinating to me. You couldn't read, and basically that's what ultimately saved your life, because you had life.
I had life without
the possibility of parole. So, if I'm not mistaken, you was in prison. You had to learn how to read, and then from learning how to read, you went to the law library to understand and fight your case, and that's how you got the appeal.
I got so good at the law that when I walked in the courtroom, I felt I was the smartest person in the courtroom.
What was that process like? Because you had a lawyer. I'm sure you paid him.
I had a lawyer. My lawyer graduated
money
from Harvard University.
And he didn't see
top of his class.
So how were you able to do
he
what he
told me I
couldn't?
was never getting out. They all bit on that. I mean, if you ever get a chance, you got to read the article that LA Magazine did. LA Magazine did an article on me. The guy said he was writing my obituary. This was the guy who used to ride around with the cops when they was looking for me. And my lawyer took the same stance, that my days was over. But I never felt that way,
Right.
So I kept digging and kept scratching, and eventually found the issue.
And you single-handedly did that from learning how to...
Oh, no doubt. No, well, not single-handedly. Guys in the law library, they helped me.
They helped you, right.
They taught me how to shepherdize. They helped me with my reading.
Right.
It wasn't by myself. No, it wasn't by myself. I had a lot of help.
Right, okay. I'm noticing the shirt. The real Rick Ross is not a rapper.
Nah.
I noticed you wear that. You wear that. That's
everywhere
like
I go.
Everywhere you go. That's like a uniform.
It's my uniform.
Right.
Why do you? They pay me to wear this shirt.
Oh, okay. Hey, as
the
they
people
should.
The people say, wear that shirt. We're gonna pay you.
As they should. Why do you deem it necessary to have that shirt?
Well, it's not necessary. I get paid for wearing it.
Okay. Right.
I did 18,000 of these already.
Okay.
So this is like advertising my own stuff. You know, I believe that everybody should wear their own product. Why wear somebody else's label? And I know that I'm a trendsetter.
Right.
What I do, other people want to do. I don't have to go out and wear Gucci or Nike and all that other stuff because other people say that it's cool. I don't think it's cool because Mike said it's cool.
Right.
I like to be my own person. It's crazy how this shirt came about too. I did the Joe Rogan show.
Okay.
And I was doing bad at the time.
Mm-hmm.
A matter of fact, I got a new book that's coming out too. It's called Riding with Rick. It's done, finished, ready to go. Once I do this one here, once I do the 100,000 of this one here, I'm gonna release Riding with Rick so people can see, what type of shape I was in when I got out of prison and the stuff that I was going through and how I still fought to rise.
Okay.
Just like I was in prison, I was at the bottom, and that's like the lowest of the low, to be in prison with a life sentence, with no money, and have to fight back up. Can't read,
right.
And have to fight back up from that.
That's
man.
incredible.
It's hard.
Right.
So I got another book coming out called Riding with Rick, and it's going to detail how I was really homeless going through this, but I never stopped perseverating. And I went on the Joe Rogan show one day, and I told Joe, man, I'm doing bad. I told him on the air, I'm doing bad. He said, man, why don't you do a t-shirt? I said, t-shirt? I'm gonna do with a t-shirt. Because right now I'm wearing other people's t-shirts that people giving me. You know, people was giving me t-shirts and stuff to wear. And I was like, dang, one day this lady give me a t-shirt, and me and Mike Epps is coming out of a club, and TMZ jump on us. Bam, TMZ. So I look up, and her t-shirt is on TMZ.
Right.
That day.
That day.
I'm like, wow. Man, I just gave her all that exposure.
Right.
So after Joe Rogan told me I should have a t-shirt, I'm walking down the street, and this white guy was like, man, I got a great t-shirt idea for you. I heard you on Joe Rogan. And I was like, huh? He's like, yeah, the real Rick Ross is not a rapper.
Right.
I said, I don't know how to put that together. I don't know nothing about it. He said, I'm going to put it together and everything for you. Take my number. He gave me his number, called me down to a shop, did the t-shirt, took some pictures, put it on there. He sold a few of them, and then he got on crystal meth. He started using crystal meth. So I'm like, man, what are we going to do about the t-shirt? He's like, man, you can have that idea.
Right.
And he just gave me the screen print and everything. So then I went looking for somebody to start print my shirts for me. And he said just start growing from there, man. I went back, I called Joe. I said, man, I got my t-shirt. So I went to Joe Rogan's show, and he put the t-shirt on the show just like this here. Mm-hmm. He put it on, man. I woke up the next morning, I had like $18,000 in my PayPal account.
Nice.
So I've been stuck with the t-shirt.
Stuck with the Hey, I wear a t-shirt too. I need one. Shit. I need 18 grand in my PayPal. You also known for like not being a typical have the drug dealer look, like the flashy, like you know how certain back in that era you knew who was selling because of the way they dressed. Absolutely. It was real flashy, but you chose to be very, very low key and invest your money into a lot of businesses.
Well, one thing I found out about business in general is that you should be humble.
Right.
And you know, like a lot of guys, like say my little young dudes, all the time the OGs will be chasing them around the hood trying to rob them.
Right.
Because they don't look like they supposed to be in the hood.
Right.
Now, me on the other hand, I never overshine the homies.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't never look like I'm better than you. Because you don't have to say you better than somebody. You can just look like you better than them.
Right.
And they start to get an inferiority. I mean, you know, you pull up in a brand new Porsche.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You jump out, you got on the jewelry, you got on the latest clothes. And now, these dudes are riding bicycles. They feeling some kind of way because all the chicks is going to be digging you.
Right.
And
chicks.
So you ain't got to say nothing.
Right.
It ain't even got to be words. It's just actions. And these dudes didn't like them dudes behind that.
Right.
And I would always have to be the one like, hey man, that's a little homie. Give him a break. You know what I'm saying? Don't rob him. You know, he working with me.
Right.
You know, so I learned that you never want to overshadow everybody.
Right.
You know, it's better to be meek and humble and then people will like you.
Right.
And I felt that it's better to be liked than hated.
Right. I was wondering because they said for estimation, I don't know how true this is. Maybe you can verify that. Whatever. They said you were making $3 million a day.
Days, not every day.
Okay, because that's a lot of fucking money.
Not every day, and that wasn't profit either.
Right.
You know,
okay.
my profit off $1 million probably was like 200 to 300, according to who came by the house that day.
A day.
Yeah, a day.
That's still a lot. That's still.
But at least $1 million. My last 2 years, at least $1 million every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
So it was like living a dream, you know,
right.
Where you could buy anything. You're not gonna be riding down the street. I see a house. I'm like, oh. I call them, go buy that house for me. Give me the address.
Damn. Obviously, who you are. Everybody knows who you are. So when you get out, do you still have issues with maybe the authorities fucking following you, still watching you?
Well, you know, I was on parole.
Okay.
They gave me a shithead.
Okay.
You know, the parole officer from hell, like they should have.
That's how they are. Yeah.
You know,
that's what they do.
But I wasn't concerned about going to jail because I ain't scared of jail.
Right.
You know, what I know that I did is I learned how to conquer jail.
Right.
I conquered jail. And I learned that from studying the law had gave me a comprehension level that most people don't have. I understand the law because when I was reading those law books, I was reading to save my life.
Right. Real quick before we get out of here, what kind of advice or information you want to let the youth know? Because, you know, it's no secret. A lot of our music today is filled with glorification of selling, even using drugs. I mean, it's no secret. Kids go down the same path you already been down through, and they think it's cool. Some think it's cool. Some brought up that way. What kind of advice would you give someone that maybe want to travel the same path you did, even though they know the outcome?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna go down that path, you definitely need to pick this up right here, because they call this the ghetto Bible. That's what the dudes in the street who doing what you do, they all buying it. You know what I'm saying? They reading it, they studying it, getting that game. But it's a lot tougher now, I believe, than what it was when I did it.
Right.
You know, when I did it, they had just started paying informants.
Right.
You know, now they straight out paying informants to tell on you. Like, they might put $100,000 bounty on your head. Like, if you bring him to us, we're gonna give you $100,000.
Right.
Right off the rip. Man, it's crazy. A couple weeks ago, I was riding down the street and I get a call from this guy who is the #1 informant in the country.
And he calls you?
He called me.
Okay.
He got my phone number and called me because I was talking about him at a seminar. I was telling the kids that this guy's made over $5 million.
Wow, from the government.
Hunting people down.
Wow.
He locked up about 6 of my boys.
Right.
You know, he came to LA and just like wiped us out. Like some hardcore dudes, you know. And I had studied him.
Right.
You know, because I used to study their case with them. And he talked about how he would come in and penetrate an area. You know, he would come in, brand new Corvette, convertible, pull up to the car wash, he tipping, you know, with the jewelry. Mm-hmm. He got the girl, you know what I'm saying? So now he looked like he the part. And then he would come up there and he would be telling them that he's from out of town looking for some work.
Right.
And he don't mind what price he pay.
Mm.
So, you know, to them, he looked like a Vic, but he really was going to make you a victim.
Right.
So the guy heard me talking about it, man. He picked up the phone one day and called me. And like, man, you come from different worlds, but we both the same. And, you know, I talked to him for about 30 minutes because, you know, I like talking to interesting and different people. And to hear his point of view of why he do what he do, you know, was interesting.
Right.
And informative too. You know, I
right.
mean, because I was really fascinated with him. You know, the way he was able to break it down. And he was the government's. At one time, he was their #1 informant.
Wow. So, real quick, you made a lot of money. I'm sure you lived the lifestyle of a king. Give me the craziest groupie story involving what you was dealing with as far as the women. What was the women like back then?
I was born when it came to women. You know, most of my dudes brought me my girls.
Oh, they all
for presents.
Oh, you was a king.
They brought me my girls for presents. Like, man, I got one for you. She good, girl.
Right.
I've been knowing her. You ain't gonna have to worry nothing about her. You know, that's how I met most of my girls.
And that was it.
Yeah. It was pretty.
It was already laid out for you.
I mean, I didn't really go to parties.
Right.
You know, I didn't really like hanging out because it got to the point to where, you know, if you go to a party, you got to carry a pistol.
Naturally.
So now if I'm carrying a pistol, I open myself up.
Right.
But if I stay at home, in my house, I ain't got nothing to worry about. You
right.
know? So that's how I got most of my girlfriends. And somebody brought her over to me and introduced me to her. So
right.
It wasn't nothing. I mean, we had some parties though. You know, we used to do when we first started. You know, and the girls first started smoking crack, and they,
wow.
you know, them were some wild ones. That's in the book too. Though.
That's in the book too. All right.
That's in the book.
So let them know where they can get this book from. If they want to check it out.
You can go get the book from my website, freewayrickyross.com. Also, you can get you one of the t-shirts. You can be part of the crew. You know what I'm saying? The real Rick Ross is not a rapper at freewayrickyross.com. That's my website. Also, follow me on Twitter, Instagram at Freeway Ricky and Facebook at Freeway Rick Ross. Check your boy out. Y'all better be paying attention, man, because I'm doing some stuff that ain't nobody out here gonna be able to do. I got a unique situation. I can show you how to do it, but you gotta listen. You gotta be paying attention, and most people don't pay attention and they don't listen. Go get this book, study it, break it down, and then holler at your boy. We're gonna get some money together. Also, my film is financed too, by the way. Let y'all know. Execs in Hollywood who told me my movie wouldn't get done. If I didn't do it with them, my book wouldn't come out, my documentary. All 3 of them is done now. We just hired Kim Harding to cast the movie.
Right. Yo, hardcore, real quick. What was that movie you were talking about?
Snowfall, Snowflake, Snowfake.
What was that about? Was that depicted of supposed to be?
They stole my story,
they stole
man.
Your story.
They stole my story. John Singleton, come on, man.
John Singleton.
Stop it.
Right.
Stop it, John. You know better, man.
He didn't reach out to you for that?
He reached out to me after they had already shot the season, and you know, people on Instagram and Twitter started hollering at him like, man, you done stole Rick's story. Then he came and talked about making me a consultant or something like that there, and we was negotiating for a while, and the negotiations broke down, and you know, I don't know how that's gonna come out yet.
Right, because he's from South Central too, so that's why.
Supposed to be.
Yeah,
we don't know if he really is or not. You know how these dudes, they fake it, man. You can't tell, and we don't even know if that's really his name, you know? They start doing it like that there. They changing names and stealing names and identities and all kind of stuff. You know, this is a fake it till you make it time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, say you from South Central so you can get a deal.
So you can get a deal, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is, man. Freeway Ricky Ross, thanks for coming through.
No doubt, thank you.
DJ Thorough, hottest in the street. This is 50.com. Like always, when you see us, one knee us. When you pay respects. We out. Yeah.